Caller trades come up trumps in the early game, but that time
for a lot of pain considerably since the start of the day, and it's only been about an hour, Papa Smithy, so everybody, perhaps getting out of work, making their way over to the Seoul East Stadium here in Sangam.
That fan sign on the right will be their reaction if it's an all too short trip for them, as could potentially be a Samsung 2-0. We like their draft, but there was a lot to like about Afrika's that kind of were undone very early. Samsung 4-man invading, trying to get that first concussive blow stack.
Well, they do find Kuro, and he's just going to flash.
That was smart. I mean, Camille was walking over, has an auto attack reset,
yeah.
concussive blows applied. He was pretty close to a turret, but was not going to be giving up any level 1.
Something about 300 kilometers.
Came a long way to watch the LCK, is my read on that one. Filling in the blanks there a little bit. But big takeaway here, Achilles, is that sure, some people will say, I don't know about the flash, but you just lost a game that kind of was taken away from you very early. You know exactly how strong Braum level 1 comps are. Better safe than sorry. Still will be very tanky in the mid lane, will Kuro, even without that flash for the early game, but another advantage this side of Samsung Galaxy.
All right, well, going to be starting things off over here by the Raptors, but it is spotted. Brown starting to cheat his way forward, but he is standing on top of a ward on the ramp here. So likely not going to be able to run too much
Feels like
disruption.
Faker a couple of patches ago. Not going to be collapsed on, though.
Yeah, he's just poking his way in, but will not be able to find anything. So Spirit, for the most part, going to be unhindered as he moves forward. Smites to finish off that big Raptor as that red buff does come through.
And we see the return of Galio on blue side, and the Super Leash is confirmed to Spirit, who gets about as much help as possible in the Galio and the duo lane. So happy start for Spirit, who spent the entirety of game 1 watching Samsung take advantages.
Grand entrance there as Ruler does take quite a bit of damage there in that exchange. Scored JJ just can't quite get the concussive blows rolling.
This is the game for the bot lane to really live up to some of the praise they've been getting from both casters like us and also the community for their reliably strong play earlier in the season. Weren't able to do that in game 1, but Afrika with the Galio doesn't have flash, but still wants to get as much information as possible about the order of the camps taken by Samsung, and Ambition did pass over his Raptors to get a faster red. He thought there might be an invade.
Well, the ward comes down right as Spirit enters. Keeps himself safe. Good game sense there by QV, or just good timing.
I do like Ambition going for red before Raptors, ensuring that there will be no contest. Once you know a Super Leash is happening, you can fill in the blanks.
Coming into the mid lane, but not going to be able to find anything. Justice Punch will take Kuro to safety. Let's try to get on top of him because he knows that flash is gone. Words are difficult today. He knows that the flash is gone, so wants to try to take down that Galio early on, but so far Ambition not going to be having too much luck, but is getting some counter jungling done as he moves over to the Krugs.
Yeah, with where the minion wave was, he could have on command interrupted the Justice Punch out by just flashing into the AoE, but Crown would have called him away. Ambition and Spirit find each other, and there's the follow flash.
Yeah, they flash over. First one to react is going to be Kuro as Ambition starts wrapping around the other side. It's taking quite a bit of damage, and Spirit will yet again be chasing forward. Blast cone available, takes himself for a ride, just trying to escape and buy as much time as possible, but Ambition will be going down, and that's going to be first blood handed over to Kuro with the double buffs.
Huh. The last bit of damage is done by Kuro. I didn't see that, so interesting. That's actually really big for the side of Afrika, having double buffs onto the mid lane or his bot lane.
I mean, that's kind of terrible, but now Ruler, getting jumped on the Ignite comes through from Tucson. Doesn't have enough to finish him off, but maybe they can get onto core JJ. They will proc that concussive blows here onto Tucson as he goes low. So nice trade back by the Samsung squad, but well, Ambition is kind of setting Crown up for a lot of pain.
Yeah, Kuro will need to be babied through lane now with double buffs. His flash is still on cooldown for about another minute, but apart from a return gang, that won't mean much. Speaking of ganks.
Yeah, coming up here, hook shot is there though, so QV just very easily able to dodge out. And yet again, gonna get locked down. Has the flash available, goes in, dashes back.
Forced the heal to be used. Don't know about actually going in with the grand entrance there. Just kind of forced a summoner out of his AD carry, who did not want to use the heal in that scenario.
And now going to be 2 to 4 in that regard for the summoner spells in the bottom lane.
I like the start, but now Spirit is ganking QV with no flash.
I think you want to try this one again, Ambition.
I think even just trying to gank a Camille with flash up as a no flash Rek'Sai was kind of a lose-lose in top lane. So start was good. Next following ganks were going to be pretty low value ones from the side of Spirit.
Well, they have the slight lead coming through at the moment. As Kuro, go ahead and just scoop up these minions.
HP regen from the red buff. Experience and gold. Kuro is happy to lap up, and soon he'll have his flash up. So rather than being exploited while his flash duration was down, which is what Samsung did to Tucson in Game 1, Kuro actually gets a bit of a donation over the way of a Freak of Freaks.
Well, going to be a bit slower paced here. Ruler and Core JJ not able to get out to that massive lead that we saw early on.
To a point, though, Hero's entrance up soon, Equalizer up soon, reliable CC, diving onto the Camille and delaying the power spikes from Cuvée is what a Freak of Freaks want to do. It's one of the few things this draft can do in the early game to punish Samsung, who have great outscale options in other areas.
I mean, all of that can get turned around, though, once that Hextech ultimatum is available. Becomes untargetable, and he can dodge out something like the Hero's entrance knockup if he times it well enough.
So many different bits of damage to respect that be hard to get any overlap with the Hextech ultimatum, but I take your point. Never going to be guaranteed to turret dive a Camille. Speaking of turret diving Camille's,
might be looking at it. Spirit not very tanky, so instead we'll just be going on a bit of a vision mission here.
Didn't have the minion wave where they wanted in mid lane either, so Galio hadn't begun his roam topside. Gragas will basically have to jungle around Camille in a lot of the case of the early game, and that'll be a big departure from Game 1, where he could jungle around the strong side, which was his duo lane. Jungling around the weak side is kind of a thankless task, where it looks like your jungler's not doing anything, you're looking for kill involvements, but if he's not topside for the majority of the next 5 to 10 minutes, there is going to be great turret dive opportunities for a Freak of Freaks.
Well, for now, just a handoff on that blue buff. Nobody in a comfortable enough position to really go for any aggressive plays. The bot lane has definitely been the most skirmishy that we've seen so far, but even then, it's usually just chunking each other out to about half HP. Everybody peels back, they nom some biscuits, and everyone's good.
The only person on the side of Afrika who's opting into a long game is going to be Kramer, trying to get his item build together. Tucson also is going to be very powerful at level 16 for a Rakan. This is where Scaling's happiest. Okay, Blade Core does register.
Yeah, and Ruler going low, but the dash back comes through from Tucson, so that's going to be a nice positive trade with almost really no negative aspects to it here for the side of Afrika.
We don't often see the feathers and the Blade Caller trades come up trumps in the early game, but that time getting a massive burst onto Ruler and forcing him back. He does have Vamp Scepter and also a refillable, so does get to be a bit of a tank when it comes to staying in lane.
Not a ton of punish going to come out because he still has the heal as well, so not even baiting that summoner spell to be used, so he's fine. But now we have the level 6 for the Ashe. Do we see the go button pressed here with that enchanted crystalline arrow?
My theory is that Afrika going to play pretty much like Samsung did, with Spirit jungling on the strong side, which is the top side of the map, with the hero's entrance follow. Trying to get as many advantages as possible. Frustrated they didn't get Cuvé's flash earlier in the piece, but playing top side is probably the more reliable thing, because they can also counter jungle ambition pretty heavily. Like you say, bot side, they don't really have engage to Afrika. Rakan can dive the turret, but I think Kramer's happy enough farming, and they have good disengage. I think just farming on the bot side while they can pile on gold onto Rumble and allow the first couple of equalizers to be powerful before Camille gets her items on. To me, that's the percentage play for Afrika.
Well, right now it's basically Farming Simulator 2017.
I mean, Spirit wants
action, though.
He wants to end it. Galio doesn't have the wave in a great spot. This would just be a 2v1.
Well, he's starting to cut his way up now. The pings are coming down. That's going to be the equalizer thrown out as Cuvé's down to half HP. Nice. He'll just get popped up. He'll hold on to the ultimatum. Doesn't blow the flash either. Knows that he's dead, so a second kill gets scooped up here by Afrika.
Everyone was kind of holding on to objectives, like you say. They hold on to the hero's entrance, but Cuvée holding on to flash means that the repeat gank that took down Tucson in the bot lane may not be as strong at taking down Cuvée. Nice stuff from Marin and Spirit, though. They haven't always had the best synergy. We mentioned Spirit donating double buffs against Marin's Gnar in a previous series. This time, A lot more on the same page. Yeah, you're right. I mean, this time it was the Ambition donation. I gotta say, it does feel like Ambition and Spirit are the two junglers that are the most likely in our league to give over double buffs. Because other junglers just don't go for those plays, but they try to push the advantages.
It's a bit of a coin flip as to whether or not they do it.
Good old Ambition solo mission. I think if we explained that to him, he wouldn't be very impressed.
Maybe not. Submission position, I'm sure he would appreciate, but the solo mission, definitely not. I think he would.
It has been 3 years of jungle solo missions for Ambition. He was doing it on CJ Entis in 2015. He's kept up appearances.
We don't talk about those dark days. I'm still waiting for the Skarner so I can reuse that that lovely image of him as.
Well, you had the Score Skarner. That's all you're going to get for now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Even though Score could have played literally any jungler, and including Gragas especially, and it would have been better. He just decided he wanted to play one game of Skarner.
Yep. Well, now Crown getting jumped on. The taunt will come through as he gets locked in. Throws out that petrifying gaze, but not going to find it. Spirit able to turn around, but now Cubase joins in the fight. Has the hook shot, slows him up with a tactical sweep as well. Seems like they will be able to get out of here safely. No flash having to be used by the Cassiopeia.
And Crown didn't even use Cleanse because he knew that Rek'Sai didn't have flash for a follow-up knock-up. So they respected that the taunt duration wouldn't be enough to take him down. Gotta say, Samsung especially been very tricky holding on to their summoner spells in the early game here, stopping them from being any repeat ganks. That was the undoing of Afrika.
I mean, a bit like, you know, Faker holding that flash to the last possible second that it's needed. Has been very well measured by them, but we are still just a few hundred gold separated here so far between these squads. We still haven't really seen that outburst of action yet. TP used by Kuro just to rejoin the mid lane. Spirit waits in the wings, but still does not have that flash available.
So haven't seen a single hero's entrance either. The first 12 minutes of the game. We're about to hit that tipping point where the ganking, team fighting, and also teleport using Afrika need to make their teleports count, whereas Samsung are happy to just pile gold onto Cuvée and begin the 4-1 split push.
Well, blue buff gets taken away here, picked up by, I believe, Kramer. Yeah, he's got it. I saw somebody with feathers had it, and I wasn't sure if it was Tucson or him.
We'll continue the farming in bot lane, pre-Essence Reaver. Don't think there was any mana concerns for Kramer, but the extra gold will certainly help him in his quest towards 3 items. Looking for a flare point. We're basically looking for Afrika Freaks to play to their win conditions of the draft. The impetus is on them for their early to mid-game power, but every time Crown is able to push in Kuro and stop the hero's entrance and the potential roam with specifically Spirit, then that's pretty happy times for Samsung. We're happy to extend the game from here.
Yeah. Just keep it in the fight at the moment. I mean, bit of chip damage in onto this turret. They've knocked it down to about half HP, but still seems like Afrika won't soon be in a position to knock that down at least. We'll take away another buff, so Red going to be going over to them this time around.
These are the sort of denial. But these are the sort of objectives Samsung can give up, right? They're happy to give up a red buff. They recognize the power early game of Afrika. They want to give up the minimum. A red buff is close to representing the minimum. It's just where do they draw the line in the sand, and how aggressive will Afrika be? Because things like Rift Herald are definitely a possibility. Samsung respecting Afrika to a great extent in the bot lane, have lost a lot of turret HP, so maybe we'll see the eventual hero's entrance bot side.
Yeah, it's been that in the top lane. Both have gotten whittled away at. Of course, we had a start with a Cloud Drake, so nobody really cares about that.
Nope.
So no attention being paid to that side of the map.
Cloud Drake, certainly no Ocean Drake, which was favored actually in recent games when the tanks were on the field and you get massive value out of percentage regen. But less tanks here, so we're Infernal and Mountain all the time today.
Just not right now. It's what we want.
It's what we're looking for.
Well, we're not lucky enough yet. But we did a Devil Mountain in the first game, so that was at least nice.
Just want to see something from Afrika. They have tools that they're not using.
I just want to see something.
I think I'm talking specifically around Afrika because I can't fault Samsung for playing a long game. I can fault Afrika for playing a long game.
Well, here we go. Grand Entrance coming down. Well, lockdown. Ruler flashes away to keep himself safe, but the Featherstorm, rather, wow, comes out, but he still makes it out alive. Now trying to turn things around. Giai arriving on the backside of the teleport, gets the kill in onto Tucson, but they're looking for much more. Flash away goes Marin as Giai goes into the front line, will be taken down. An exchange here, but it's still going to be Samsung coming out on top, the 3-for-1, as Ruler tries to rejoin the fight, trying to poke this down, maybe go for something like the turret. Seems like it might just be the Dragon now that they back off, and words are difficult.
Such a massive lead for Samsung in that fight, Achilles. On the back end, Ruler getting away, predicting the flash it looked like, or Kramer flashing into the Ash Arrow meant that he survived on a sliver of health, and at the point where they're strongest, early game when their base stats and base damage are most powerful for the tanking lineup of Afrika, they lose a 1-for-3 trade. We're going to see the replay. First thought is to go on to Ruler, who they've DPS'd out before. This is the big investment from Afrika to take him down. Watch at the end as the Featherstorm flashes into the Ash Arrow, or predicted, very hard to tell, so much going on, and actually does not go down. So it isn't even a 2-for-3. The equalizer, which for Marin is so usually so easy and so on point, is off point this time. And Samsung, against the flow and against their scaling, win an early game fight.
How they do. And now they just kind of take the gold lead that was there for Afrika, and then they put it into their favor. So still 300 separating them. So nothing massive, but they pick up the Cloud Drake off the backside of that. And maybe now, with that little bit of a swing, they can get into a position to start knocking down some of these turrets.
And you start to worry. It already has been a farm fest for Crown in the mid lane, up 21 CS. Rod of Ages completed much earlier in the game. Trinity Force completed off the gold that Cuvée picked up in that engagement in the top side. And now Marin has to be a bit tricky about when he shows, because Cuvée does have great all-in options.
And he does, jumping in already. Gets that stun. You can see Chunk down to below half HP as the tactical sweep just kind of pickles him. Right on that exit.
May have to use Equalizer just to clear waves, and hope against hope his teleport will come up before he gets solo killed or anything bad happens in the top side. Afrika did not have the latitude to lose an early game fight in the manner they did, also to lose the first Drake of the game. They had so much control top side, but one failed fight, and it may all have gone out the window.
Right now they're looking for this turret. They're going to be diving in. Hero's entrance coming through, pops them both up as Ruler goes low, gets hit by the Blade Gauler. Will get taken down, but Tucson has to flash to get out from underneath the turret. Nearly falls, but Afrika will pick up first brick.
Yeah, picking up first brick and a kill. That time, Ruler had nowhere to go back on. That time, because Crown had bought, it was perfect timing for Kuro to make the roam that he was denied for the first 18 or so minutes of the game. Nice play from them. They get a bot lane turret. They need to keep their foot on the accelerator. And right now, they don't feel that they're strong enough to set up around Rift Herald with Rek'Sai on the bot side.
Good steps here for Afrika. So we'll be opening up a larger lead. Just kind of going to, seesaw back and forth between these two teams for the moment. We'll see what Samsung can try to do. Put themselves back onto the board here. But for now, just going to be a 1.4 thousand gold lead over to the side of the Afrika Freaks. How long they can maintain control is going to be another question. Rift Herald, just a little bit of time left onto that if they want to try to acquire that objective.
Tucson Kramer was spotted, roaming up to top, so no funny business, and there also was the Hawk shot. Popped out to get the full information.
Yeah, so we'll be matched here by Ruler and Core JJ, so just trying to keep that turret alive. It'll also be in the vicinity to stop something like the Rift Herald if it got started up by Afrika.
That will be the sort of objective that, again, is the minimum standard for the draft they've picked up. It's not like they're without a hope in the late game. They do have Xayah, who has been able to farm decently, if not pick up a CS lead over Ruler any longer. But remainder of the comp is strongest early game, so we're focused on them growing advantages, and the team fight certainly did throw away some of those.
Round pushed very far forward. Doesn't have the flash, but just cheats down.
Has a lot of vision on the bot side, so that's why I was happy to play around the bot side of the lane. But now on the top side, and that Rift Herald that's desperately wanted. Here's the turn.
Yeah, entrance coming through. Taunt comes down, finds two as Crown tosses out that Petrifying Gaze, locks up two.
Rift Herald's going to fade soon, so they have to choose here.
He's firing away with those Twin Fangs. Takes Spirit rather low. Cheryl coming through. Nice Featherstorm by Kramer. We'll get the dodge out. If he had gotten locked down, likely would have seen the explosive cask out for him. Ambition to isolate him, and he could have gone down. So good little dodge there, but No one's going to be getting that Rift Herald at the end of the day.
And that's a big win for Samsung, who did not want to have to invest a teleport to stop the Rift Herald from going down. Continue to have Cuvée in a short lane against Marin, top lane.
Oh, they're coming in, but that Winter's Bite was actually eaten by Tucson, just body blocked it. Now the Hero's Entrance coming through. Spirit nearby as well as they try to get in on top of Ruler. Where JJ will throw down that Glacial Fissure. TP coming through from Cuvée, now joining the fight. See who he's going to try to acquire as a target. Finds the Xayah, takes out Kramer first and foremost, then helps follow up to get rid of Marin, and now Samsung are in a perfect position to go ahead and knock down their first turn of the game here in the top lane.
Surprisingly, the teleports haven't been working. Kuro's just trying to delay what looks like an inevitable turret take. He's very tanky.
Yeah, Cuvée diving in, takes the hook shot over the wall to get himself out to safety, but they're going to have to surrender this one. 2 members down, turret going over to Samsung, and yet again, gold lead swinging over into their favor.
Yeah, amazingly, in teleport plays, Samsung are trading up again and
he's
again.
Looking for more, gets the stun in onto Spirit. Can he finish him off? Has the tunnel, flashes in for the tactical sweep, but the knock-up is there.
No
Cuvée,
cooldowns.
Yeah, will have to peel back, so Spirit barely stays alive. Cuvée a little bit too greedy, as he almost gets punished there by the Galio.
He may not get the icing on the cake, but in every other way, Samsung get exactly what they want. Continue to trade up in these teleport plays that Afrika are set up to win. We're talking about early game fights with a Rumble and Galio, who are both farmed. Instead, just not being smart at choosing their engage. The teleports being a bit off from the side of Marin, and Cuvée doing really good skirmish. We're going to see another replay. This begins with Samsung going pretty aggressive onto Afrika. They deny a lot of damage, but now we see the ultimate coming. You think that Galio and Rumble will be able to turn this, but the teleport doesn't lead to much. Cassiopeia groups with Ruler. We now see the AD carry and Cassiopeia duo together, and Cuvée creates so much space. There's no threat on the back line. They have a lot of threat on Afrika's front line, and ends up being another team fight win for Samsung.
And Marin didn't really, again, have a great equalizer. Just kind of threw it down in the middle of the lane. Got a little bit of damage down onto ground, but he only has the Leandries. He's just tickling the Cassiopeia at this point.
It's been a pretty poor series from Marin, all in all. Thought this would be his meta on 7-14, but hasn't been able to find the Maokai that they banned on blue side. Goes back to his trusty Rumble, and that hasn't found any advantages either. Cuvée, in comparison, happy to take the Camille matchup into the Rumble, deny away some of the other tank pitch-ups and not allow there to be a flex of the Rumble jungle, and really is profiting in that scenario.
Samsung now going to go ahead and pick up their second Drake of the game. What do you know? It's another Cloud Drake. Snatch that up. Nice. Ash Arrow comes through, locks right in onto Tucson, and they take him down. Twin Fangs there from Crown doing so much damage. Nearly has that full stack on the Rod of Ages completed.
Samsung with these comfort drafts, to some degree, Game 2 is a comfort draft with what they've been playing recently. So much better than what they were attempting to go against KT Rolls. It just wasn't coming together for Samsung Galaxy on the day. And we have to remember that, sure, they lost a 3-game series to KT Rolster, but that was with Haru playing all 3 games. Ambition comes back in, fitting the tank meta, jungling very happily, even if it hasn't necessarily been him carrying his top lane.
Equalizer comes down. Spirit going to be looking for the knock-up, but he does not have the flash. The tactical sweep will slow them up. Rocket slows up Cuvée as well, throws on that Hextech ultimatum as Core JJ now starts arriving. So he'll just get himself out to safety.
It wasn't even needed, Cuvée was. But Chutney Force already completed, showed enough cooldown on the hook shot that you max second, able to get out very comfortably. Will continue to pile on CS and soon be able to match Marin in that area, and just everything looking pretty damn simple for the side of Samsung.
Kuro just trying to be as big of a tank as he possibly can. Has that Thornmail completed in the mid lane. We'll finally get an Infernal Drake spawning in about 4.5 minutes time. Samsung, not as large as we saw in Game 1. I mean, Game 1 was ending in 6 minutes from now, basically. But they do have themselves in a nice position here at 24 minutes. They have a lead.
A sort of gold lead that may not be as influential as our Kalista 4 tank comps, but we're kind of close to that from Afrika, who really are centered around the early game. The moment you see Galio, you know the focus on early to mid game, and being 2,000 gold behind is one of those situations where it's extra humidity if it was a weather report. There's other factors involved here that means that the gold lead is implied bigger for the side of Samsung Galaxy. They have the 2 Drakes as well. They're in a really comfortable spot because so far every team fight has been won against the tide by Samsung.
It's been solid cohesion from them in those fights. And I mean, honestly, just think, how different would things be if Marin was actually landing these equalizers in a better spot? Obviously, he's not doing the most damage at the moment, having to go with this defensive build with the Zhonya's Hourglass coming through. But still, could, dissuade Samsung from pushing in, from scooping up those extra kills that they've been able to get.
They just haven't been able to make the plays they expected. They got the one turret dive onto Cuvée, but it was never the Rek'Sai knock up into the Hero's Entrance. The Hero's Entrance has been used very defensively. It reminds me of the many games we've seen Achilles where Xeno is used completely defensively rather than as a secondary initiation tool. They've been very reactive, Afrika, with a proactive draft. And Samsung, with a very different focus, have been able to get a lot of advantages. And they're even looking for a blue buff still to get it.
Oh, an Ambition, yep, just takes that one away. It's quicker with the trigger finger. Smites that one out. It's nicely done. Good takeaway. And it's a bit of a revenge considering how many buffs Samsung were punished for in the early game. Crown pushing in, looking to clear out that ward. And Spirit comes over the wall, flashes in for the pop-up. Hero's Entrance coming down. Will knock up core JJ. Not the target that they wanted, and he's going to counter with that Glacial Fissure coming down. But the rest of the squad isn't really there. Ruler kind of isolated, can't pinch in because everybody could just turn in onto the Ashe.
Meanwhile,
so instead, it's going to be a bit of a stalemate there in the mid lane, but as you say, meanwhile, Cuvée in the bottom side of the map is split pushing to knock down that tier 2 turret, and seems like he's going to be able to get it.
It's not really any point for Marin to enter lane against Cuvée. We've hit that tipping point with Ravenous Hydra. He'll be able to lifesteal through Marin's damage, potentially kill him. Samsung turn onto the Baron, and Afrika, they've got no good options.
I mean, it is spotted out here. The Scrying Orb comes down, so Samsung will go ahead and peel off his crown. I mean, just sort of desperately fires away into Kuro, but he's not getting too much done. But Cuvée, on the other hand, yet again, is just doing serious work here for the squad. Has that split push going in the bottom lane. He's going to be knocking down the inhib turret here in a matter of seconds, right after he gets a solo kill on Marin.
That's what no good options looks like, Achilles. He had to enter lane eventually against Cuvée, but has no ability to stand 1v1. Afrika is sending all their members, giving up any hopes of picking up Baron. They want to at least kill the Camille.
We'll see if they can do that technical sweep. Yeah, there's a lot of damage still there from Kramer with the 2 items completed, but that is the Baron going over to Samsung. Happy to make that trade is Cuvée. So just gives his life up for the betterment of the team, and Samsung will go ahead, put their 5th turret on the board here as they knock down this outer and mid.
It's not often you can take a clean Baron with the outer turret and mid still up for the enemy team.
That is a rarity.
But at the same time as the outer mid lane turret was up, Camille was solo killing a Rumble next to the inhibitor turret and turning on to that inhibitor. So we're going to see the replay. It's not as dramatic as you'd like to be. Not the sort of thing you can criticize Marin for. He's doing his best. He did not want to be entering this lane. That's why he was grouped with the team earlier. But the moment that Cuvée decides he wants to kill Marin, he has the Hextech ultimatum to guarantee that. Zhonya's wasn't used there, so you could maybe say that Marin could have bought a bit more time. But even if he flashed, even with everything up, Cuvée also had flash up, so he would have died in that same scenario. And he wants to keep things up for some sort of all-in play. It just might now be too late.
Yeah, I mean, Cuvée just looks at somebody the wrong way, and they pretty much die. 200 yards away with mind bullets.
Kramer's finding bullets of his own.
He's going to flash away. Glacial Fissure comes down as they desperately try to hold on to this tier 2 turret here in the mid lane. Cuvée, seeing how much damage he can do to Kuro. The answer is quite a bit, because we're watching his health bar drop there. He's locked into that Hextech ultimatum, has that Hero's Entrance to try to get out, but hey, there's no way to leave, my friend, so he is just going to get punished in one of the funniest deaths that I've seen in a while. Cuvée able to take the hook shot over the wall.
Least triumphant Galio ultimate ever.
Oh, it was so pathetic. But Samsung, they'll knock down that tier 2 turret as Crown keeps moving up the minions towards that inhibitor in the bottom side of the map.
And the Hextech ultimatum's not messing with anyone, Achilles. No one can leave, and that includes Galio, whose Hero's Entrance was comical, to say the minimum. They're split pushing bot side, they're pushing the mid lane inhibitor. It's going to be a quick 2-0 for Samsung. We're just waiting for them to close out the series.
Oh, if you clipped that, please tweet that at me. I'd love to watch it as soon as the game is over, but here we go, because it's pretty much going to be over very shortly. Just before 30 minutes now. Samsung looking for the finish. Already have that one inhib down in the bottom side. Will knock out the mid as well. See how long they want to stick around. Kuro is back. He is alive. Seems like they will go ahead and just exit the base. Likely take this Infernal Drake. Go back by. And then go for that final push.
really interesting series. You know, it's been very one-sided, so you know I can understand someone not taking a lot from it. But in the long view of what this means going forward, we had a game one where Samsung, with a pretty narrow win condition of, well, our duo lane does well early, let's see what we can make of it, got the maximum. And this game, when Afrika was strongest, there was mistakes from Afrika where Samsung got a lot of advantage. We see the replay. You can't leave. You just can't. There's nowhere to go. Sorry, Kuro. You may have been able to target someone, but that was only going to be 1.25 seconds of untargetability. You're still going to remain in the Hextech ultimatum, and you're still going to die.
And die he did. Well, Super Creeps in 2 lanes, nearly a 10,000 gold lead here for Samsung. Infernal Drake in it there. War Chest as well, as Marge just get popped up. Has a nice equalizer this time, but he's all alone, so he's just going to die.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Giai will get jumped on. Hero's entrance coming through, but he dodges it out, has that nice ultimatum, but he still will get taunted up by Kuro, who tries to get some revenge, but it's a bit of a petty squabble at this point because they're still losing out across the map.
I mean, I guess he can feel good about dodging the knock-up with the Hextech ultimatum. He was going to die anyway, but his team at the same time piling into the top side, so his death certainly not going to be consequential. Kuro's really hard to kill, but that's about all Afrika have going for them.
Samsung just going to go ahead and look to close this one out by checking off all the boxes on the to-do list. Every single turret, every single inhib. Nearly there.
So important for Samsung to pick up this match victory after 2 losses in a row.
Yeah, especially with a 2-0.
They still have a chance to pip Longzhu to the point. In the gauntlet system, the team that finishes first waits in the grand final. They want to be that team. If Samsung win here, they have one more match played than Longzhu and KT, but they will also be on 12 wins. They still play against Longzhu on the last day of the season. They may still have their fates in their own hands.
This be a very nice step in the right direction, especially after that loss against MVP. Samsung seem to be turning all of that bad luck around. Not even bad luck, you know. They just played poorly. MVP played well.
There was definitely some champions they didn't seem to be great at playing. The Tristana was a low light for Ruler. They made some mistakes, like you say. Almost perfect game by KT Rolster on their early game comp, but their early games have been so much cleaner against Afrika Freaks, who we had high hopes for, but have not performed so far on 7-14.
Yeah, I mean, 0-12 in that game 2 versus KT. So was pretty rough stuff. Very much like how this game is rough now for Afrika Freaks. And the lead for the longest time. And you can see just Giai, he just wants to inch up every now and then and get a hit in, because a few more times that happens, he's going to be getting rid of that that first inhib turret. Now the engage coming through. Glacial Fissure comes down. Equalizer thrown out by Marin. He's in a pretty good spot. They will get Ruler, but look at this. Everybody just getting annihilated by Crown. Comes up with the double kill. Makes it a triple as he gets rid of Marin and the Super Creeps. In the meantime, are going to go ahead and start knocking down these Nexus turrets. They will fall. Kuro gonna die. Quadra kill going over to Crown. Can he get the Penta Spirit? My God, just hand it to the man. And he's not going to do so. That's just going to be the end of the game. 33.5 minutes in. Samsung will complete it. They're going to go for it. Can they find it? A couple more Twin Fangs from Crown to finish this one off. He's so tanky, but he gets it in the end. Pentakill over to Crown. The 2-0 for Samsung. 14-9 at the end. They will walk away with a victory.
Pentakill, and sure, his screen goes great, but he can celebrate. High fives to the team. They made the turret dive work that SKT could not last season. And Samsung Galaxy annihilate Afrika Freaks to keep their slim chances of being first in the regular season alive.
A much-needed win, a much-needed turnaround performance here for Crown, who was looking a bit inconsistent in his recent games.
I mean, the moment he jumped onto the Cassiopeia for the first time about a week ago, he looked better. Yeah. They've been able to rely on Crown having lane pressure on the Cassiopeia, and we know he can play the Talia. We know he has other strings to his bow, but the Cassiopeia that he had not played with any frequency in 2017 is now, like the Syndra, joining that war chest of picks that he can find lane pressure on, that they can win games on, and Afrika have just been blown out of the water. We had optimism for them and what represented a tank meta, but they seem to just not be misfiring in basically every way. Game 1 lost around their duo lane. Game 2, they had so much power in the early game around team fights, but then lost team fights, and sure, by the time it got comically late, they could layer the equalizer, but the equalizer earlier weren't working. the ultimate there, the petrifying gaze from Crown, was what really started off the trend, and the Samsung Galaxy just paid him back by helping him get the Penta in the fountain.
Absolute destruction of Afrika in a matter of seconds, and I'm sure, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get another look at this one. So many teams have tried this, and very few succeed.
Let's see who led the charge. Well, Ambition was the man. He went in. Juve gave up his life. They had to have a lot of people give up their lives, and Crown, pentakill and execute. Happy, happy times for Samsung fans, and they look great in this game.
All the way through. That Seraph's Embrace shield as well, so it's just stacking on everything that they possibly could to secure the pentakill. So Crown goes ahead, snatches that for himself. The Org will find a 2-0 victory. Like you said, keep that first place hope alive. Still a ways to go, but by the end of that one, Crown yet again topping the damage charts, but this time by a mile.
Probably also going to top the MVP charts by a mile as well, you would think. Pentakills are almost always a free MVP win.
Sorry, we say kilometers here. By a kilometer, which is not as big as it. Okay, whatever.
I know what kilometers are.
He did a lot of damage.
I say miles because that's what Americans say, and we got a lot of American viewers here today. Afrika Freaks, oh boy. They had a lot of problems in this series, and
just assume Twitch chat's nationality.
Some of them. There's a couple of them in there, that part I'll guarantee. And Juve, because of his solid play on the Camille, actually denies us an MVP interview with our Pentakiller.
Yep, no, not going to be handed over to Crown, and Juve just now one win behind, to tie Crown, who is up near the top of the standings. Still trying to catch up to Kuro, who is going to be, one of the biggest losers here in this match.
And the biggest losers in the early game were Afrika, who had Galio and Rumble, and yet they were out-teamed for multiple times by specifically Juve, but Samsung Galaxy as a team. First of two equalizers that went just too far wide. Marin reading it as a team fight win for Afrika and trying to get stragglers as they went back to their own turret. Instead it was actually team fight wins for the side of Samsung Galaxy, so the ults just looked silly. Juve in the front line as Marin once again gives up his life in the back line. Samsung Galaxy beating Afrika Freaks, who are all at sea.
Juve just disgusting on this Camille. It's just, I mean, it's one of those things where it's kind of like maybe you need to ban this away from Juve. But they leave it open, and they get punished for it. The nice deny. I can't actually, I'm kind of glad that Juve won. As much as I want to hear from Crown after the pentakill, I really want to hear the commentary and the questions being asked by Cloud Templar in regards to that play.
May ask him if he knew the interaction, as this was the point where Samsung got to have the current on top of the icing, on top of the cake that they got to eat.